What's good, everybody? Full Line Speaks Back, YouTube. It's a good week. Um, Good season. I can't complain. Um, but one thing I did want to talk about right now is what's happening as far as the rankings right now in the NFC East, in particular when it comes to your Philadelphia Eagles, and also as it pertains to that other team that everyone's talking about in the NFC. And of course, it ain't the Dallas Cowboys. I do have a few little things to say about them. More so, I told you so type of things that I've been predicting because I'm very Nostradamus-like when it comes to these sports, which is something that those who followed the channel for a while should have recognized by now, and some of you new subscribers will soon begin to see. But it's those San Francisco 49er whiners who I want to talk about. King, yeah, right. That's. But at any rate, Dallas Cowboy, All-Pro, Pro Bowl defensive end / linebacker, former Penn State middle linebacker, Micah Parsons, has said on his podcast that he held, I think yesterday, he does it on Mondays, day after. For whatever reason, he thinks that's a good idea to have that. And as long as the Cowboys let him have it, I'm all for it. It turns out that George Kittle, in typical 49er fashion, being the classless players they are, I'm not going to say it's a necessarily classless organization. It's ran by John Lynch, and they have a good history going back to Carmen policy in those days when they were probably the class of the NFL led by Bill Walsh and later George Seifert, though they've been on a slowly decline, from Mariucci onwards. Mike Singletary brought them back to respectability, really. It was Mike Singletary did it, not Kyle Shanahan, by changing their philosophy and updating their resume, especially on the defensive end. But as we see now, they're a team full of classless players, whining, sore losery players. And it's guys people don't think so. McCaffrey, whiner, should have known better. His dad should have taught him better. Whiner. Deebo Samuel's probably the worst. Okay. Probably the worst. Trent Williams. Williams is the worst. Because after they got spanked last year in the championship game, this dude wanted to fight. He wanted to fight. He wanted to start tossing people on the ground, and he want to rumble now that they can't win. That team. Led by Kyle Shanahan, the little Shanahan. I call him Baby Shanahan. Who's not his father, by the way. In terms of greatness, he's not his father, by the way. Who didn't even correct those guys. So that's the type of culture they got. I give them respect for having, I guess they got to have some type of discipline there in their culture because they are consistently winning as of late. But they don't have a culture of personal accountability there. But my point is, in typical 49er style, you have George Kittle with an F Dallas t-shirt under the thing, which I don't really have a problem with. I'm just saying I don't. But it is indicative of the 49ers players, their attitude and so on. They take it personal. They talk real tough. What they did before they played us, when they were asked questions about physicality, and whatever. Those are the 49ers. Micah Parsons foolishly takes the approach, well, I'm mad to get you back because, we shouldn't be, you made it more personal than it is. And, this here is kind of like the new age player, the new age NFL player. Guys who want to take this so-called business style approach to the game without the emotional content there. And they think that that's going to, what it is the NFL players starting to follow the way of NBA players. And this is probably started really by guys like LeBron James, who want to be buddy-buddy with the fellow players in the league and all that kind of stuff. Not to go off on a tangent with that, but what I'm seeing is players of the day starting to follow in that trend. Bothers me when Eagles players are like that. They typically are like that in the beginning, but then later on they start to fall in line in terms of what the natural rivals and so on are. For example, I'm going to give you A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown comes to the Eagles last year, and he says, I'm just here, I'm going to go ahead and make my money, try to win, and I'm not getting involved in that, as he puts it, quote unquote, Cowboys-Eagles shit, right? That's the way he puts it. But then when he gets out there, he notices Javon Curse tried to take his freaking knee out, okay, in that second game, going low, because he don't want the smoke going high. He goes low, try to take his knee out. Then he started to realize, whoa, oh yeah, this is different. So we see him on the podcast a little later where he says, he's still a little holding on to his pride. I don't get involved in all the Eagles, Cowboys, but, I see it's different. You see the fans is different. You see everything different. Start to learn. This ain't Tennessee, bro. This ain't Tennessee versus the Colts, okay? This ain't Tennessee versus Jacksonville. This is like back when Tennessee were the Houston Oilers and they went at it with the Steelers. It's more like that. But now, Eagles, Cowboys, that's different. So Micah Parsons taking on that same mentality. He ain't understand what it was about when it come to the 49ers and the Cowboys. And now he acting like now a light comes on. Now he understands. And now it's personal. Right? That's your leader over there in Dallas. That's one of the problems. Something ain't right. If you ain't thought it was personal before that, since the team whooped you twice, knocked you out of the playoffs, if it ain't been personal from that, then when does it get personal? When he says F Dallas? He said F Dallas when they put 42 on you. That's when they were saying F Dallas. Anyway, that's the cultural problem in Dallas. But them same 49er whiners, been whining ever since the Philadelphia Eagles knocked them out of the playoffs last year. Whining ever since then. Ever since the Philadelphia Eagles knocked them out of the playoffs. George Kittle talking stupid. McCaffrey talking stupid. Debo is a nut, who I used to respect for his toughness, physical toughness. He's a sucker. He talking about, we ain't have a quarterback. And for all you who got all of that, we didn't have a quarterback stuff, I recall before a football game, there's a warm-up period. I recall Brock Purdy being out there for the warm-ups. I recall during the time of the coin flip, Brock Purdy being out there for the coin flip. I recall at kickoff time, Brock Purdy being out there for the kickoff. So I'm trying to figure out how you didn't have a quarterback. I recall the Philadelphia Eagles getting the first possession and going down and scoring. And I recall the 49ers getting the ball. And I recall Brock Purdy coming out there suited up. I recall Shanahan and the coaching staff, whoever your offensive coordinator is, who runs the offensive line, having an opportunity to properly block Hassan Reddick. But I recall in his arrogance, his 49er whiner arrogance that he refuses to take accountability for, he puts a backup tight end out there on Hassan Reddick, who is coming off of a season where he had 16 sacks, thinking that this was intelligent. And I recall Hassan Reddick whipping that backup tight end like he should whip a backup tight end and getting to your quarterback. And hitting him as he should was a normal hit. Didn't put any body weight on him. Didn't target his head or anything. Basically went after his arm because what you try to do is not only get a sack, but a strip sack and a fumble. And I recall Brock Purdy not being able to take the hit to his arm and getting hurt. That's what I remember. But I remember you having a quarterback. But in typical loser 49er fashion, they use narrative flipping. Let's make the narrative about the 49ers. They have a quarterback. And if the 49ers had a quarterback, we'd have won the game. Now, the thing about it is I recall, in football, there's two sides of the ball. There's literally two sides of the ball. There's offense, there's defense. I recall the Philadelphia Eagles somehow putting up 35 points or more on your vaunted defense, primarily through running the ball. I recall the idea of the strength of your defense being Nick Bosa, who couldn't get to Jalen Hurts at all. I recall the strength of your defense being guys like Fred Warner, who couldn't figure out the RPO offense, whether or not Hurts going to keep the ball, whether or not he going to pass the ball. And I recall the Eagles running for over 140 some odd yards on your vaunted rush defense. I'm trying to figure out what not having a quarterback has to do with that side of the ball. Is it that maybe your defense quit because they felt like, okay, both our quarterbacks got hurt because we kept trying to block Hassan Reddick in our arrogance, which they refused to accept, with a backup tight end. So you lost not one but two quarterbacks. See, the difference between a world classy organization is they don't hold the opposition accountable for stupid things they do. But what they do is they hold themselves accountable, right? So let's say Jalen Hurts got hurt because we put in a backup tight end, we put in Kyle Katerra to block Bosa, and Bosa destroyed Kyle Katerra as he should and hurt Jalen Hurts. You know what Philadelphia fans would do? Philadelphia fans would be all up in Nick Sirianni's world. We wouldn't find a way to get mad at the 49ers for doing what they're supposed to do. That's the difference between us. And that's why I don't respect 49er Nation. And this is why I like you being seen as number one. But see, me, in my knowledge of football, I know that you're overrated. And I know that it's a bunch of nonsense. And I also know that when the time comes and we play you, I also know that the Dallas Cowboys are not the team that you were concerned with. The team you're concerned with is this team here. Yeah. You know what's going to happen? You'll be put in your place again. Till next time. Peace.